Hi everyone, my name's Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to share with you a card that I'm giving to 3 of my downline members who participated in a little challenge that we had recently with the Olympic Games going on. And this card actually has no stamping on. Yes, you heard right, no stamping, but it's a beautiful all-occasion card and I'm going to show you how to create it. And of course the first thing that we're going to need is our card base. And I have used Stampin' Up's brushed gold. I don't know if you can see real well, but it's very shimmery and beautiful. And I cut it at 4 1/4 by 11 inches and scored it at 5 1/2. And then of course we will just fold this towards the mountain. And I have my Stampin' Up bone folder here. Just give that a bit of a crease so that it'll lie flat for us to work with. The next thing that I'm going to do is get our designer series paper cut for this card. We will need the Sweet Sorbet designer series paper, and I picked this design because it looked like speed to me, and that's what the Olympics are all about, speed. And so the first piece I cut at 2 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then the next piece I cut at 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inches. Now you're going to need an inside panel. And I actually did not write these measurements down, but I will tell you that it is 1/4 inch smaller than your card. So this will be cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And the first thing, we can go ahead and do this right away, is we're going to take our multi-purpose liquid glue. We're going to put just a strip of that onto our little tiny strip of designer series paper and just lay that along the bottom. And then I took the bitty butterfly punch that Stampin' Up sells, and I am going to put a couple of butterflies on with glue dots. So I'll just put the first one here and the second one here. Whoops, he wants to fly away. There we go. And so the inside of our card is done. Then I'm going to take a little bit of our snail and run that along the top, and we can just already put this on the inside of our card. Now I always get comments from people that they love it that I finish out the insides of my cards, and I will tell you why. It doesn't even matter how beautiful the front of your card is. What's the first thing people do when they pick it up? They go, oh, that's nice. Boom, the next thing they do is open it up. And so I always think it's kind of a little disappointment if there's nothing on the inside. So let's go ahead. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to do some cutting with the Big Shot. You can see that right here we're using a large scallop edgelet. And then this flower is actually created with the Canvas Creations, and I use, well, I'll just show you. Let me get my Big Shot machine into the picture. And I'm using the framelit florals, so it looks like this, and I'm using the 2 smaller ones. It's a set of 5, and I'll move this. You can see that we have just a scrap of Summer Sun here. That's what or Summer Starfruit, I'm sorry, it's Summer Starfruit, just a scrap of that with the smallest floral framelit. And then I have a 2 1/2 inch square piece of our Canvas Creations. It's kind of like a canvasy, fabric-y type stuff, but it's stiffer. It's really nice. And I put that down with the next size framelit. And then this is our scallop framelit, and I use Summer Starfruit, and I have that at 1 1/2 by 5 1/2. And I'm just going to cut that in half. And so I have it all set up. We can run it all through at one time on the Big Shot machine. Oh, how I love my Big Shot machine. Honestly, I don't know where my crafting would be without it. I can't believe I lived without it for so long. But I'm glad I have it now. Okay, so we can just go ahead and remove these framelit pieces, and we'll have our pieces ready to put onto our card. And the first thing we can go ahead and do is we'll adhere this to our designer series paper. So again, I'm just going to take some glue, run it along the top edge, and then I'll just set this on here. I think I'll set it on. There we go. And just line this up. I think that's pretty good. And then the next thing, of course, is we're going to use this scrap to edge the top part. So again, we're just going to put multi-purpose glue down and then just set this piece right like this and just try to get it somewhat even. I mean, there we go. That looks pretty good. Maybe this side's a little tall, so we can just bring that down a hair. Great, looks good. Now we can go ahead and put this on our card already. So we're just going to use, again, a little more of our multi-purpose liquid glue, and we can just set this right onto our card. And I don't know, I suppose I go maybe about an inch up from the bottom or so. I'm kind of pretty much centering it, I guess. And I'm going to make sure this one edge is super even, which means the other edge will not be super even, but we will remedy that in a second. And what I do is I just open the card up, and you can see how there's this tiny bit of overhang, and I just take a scissors and I'll just trim that up even with my card. There it is. Beautiful. Okay, the next step is to do our flower. Now you notice there's a couple of banners here. So what I did is I took, again, that brushed gold paper, cut it into 1/2-inch strips. I don't know how long these are, maybe 5.5, or I don't know. I don't know how long they are. They're like 5.5 inches long. And then I'm going to take the hexagon punch, and this is my favorite way now to make these little tiny banner pieces. And I can just line both of them up in here, make one little punch, and I've got two nicely punched banners. Then we're going to set this on our card. So I'm just going to glue these down with a little bit of glue. And actually I kind of put too much glue on them because honestly I wanted these to be a little bit more loose on that end, and I didn't really compensate for that. So on this next one I'll only put the glue kind of through the middle because I like the ends to be a little loose. Looks a little more flowing. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of sticking these down, and I'm letting a little bit of an overhang here, which I'm going to fix by trimming that even with the edge. Just like that. Alright, now the only thing left to do is to put our pretty flower on and our button. So I have the flower that we cut out. Now I would put this on with dimensionals, however I had some leftover pieces from the shaker frames, so I just grabbed one of those and set it in the middle of the flower. I'm just going to put it on right here, right like that, onto my card, and then I have this little cute framelit. Now putting it onto the canvas, I found that glue does not work as well. It seems to work the best with a mini glue dot. So I'm just going to set it on. Actually, I'll put a couple on. A couple of mini glue dots here. I'm just going to set that right onto our canvas with a couple of mini glue dots. And now our button piece. I'm going to give you a little tip for doing these button pieces. This is from our I think they're called the Naturals Designer buttons. They're little wooden buttons that Stampin' Up! Sells. And I take this dental threader. It's like a bridge threader for getting dental floss under your bridges. And I just use it as a threader for my buttons. So I'll just go in and I just loop the white baker's twine through that hole, and then I can bring it through. And I like to keep these at my stamp tables for my customers, and it just makes, you know, making your buttons really easy. Then of course just tie a bow. I'm not going to do that for you because I have one prepared, and I did put a glue dot on it, so all that needs to be done is set down onto the card, right in the middle, press down, and our card is done. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day, and thanks so much for stopping by Stamping to Share. Bye-bye.